to kill it. I was meant to win. I am down and willing, so I will find a way. It took a minute, now it didn't happen right away. When it get hot in the kitchen, you decide to stay. That's how it winners made. Stick a fork in the hater on my dinner plate. I walk into the fire like it's just a bit of flame. I switch my style up, watch the money pile up. I'ma get rich with life.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Podcast, where we're featuring the athletes of the 2024 CrossFit Games Semifinals. And I'm so pumped to talk to Paige Semenza today. What's going on, Paige?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm good. I had a bad cold yesterday. It's starting to go away today, so we're
nice.
We're in the recovery mode.
All right.
So we talked like last November.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yes,
was right after Rogue, and we had this conversation about like that you had to decide what this year was going to be for you, and either commit yes or commit no, and you used Rogue as a barometer. And obviously, because we're here, you committed yes.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there was kind of a lot that happened in my personal life since Rogue. And it was really like, it took a lot of figuring out like what I wanted to do. Still stuff that can make me pretty emotional. So I won't get into details, but yeah, I think this has been honestly one of like the clearest years I've had mentally with training, with competing. So there was a huge physical setback last year with my back injury. That was the huge question after Rogue. Being able to deadlift nearly 400 pounds at Rogue, having not touched a barbell for a long time before that. That was kind of like okay, my body is still responding to training. It still is in it. So the physical side of it was kind of there. The mental side was where it was like, what is this year going to be? What is it going to mean for me? And through December, through January, February, it was kind of figuring that out. And just finding a different meaning and purpose for this year. Every year you're competing in CrossFit. It's like, oh, we're competing again. We're doing it again. We're doing it again. But it's not like that. It's every year is different. Every year has its own set of challenges, its own set of rewards and losses. And every year is different. So it's never been the same. And that's kind of the fun part about it, is you find a lot of growth in those types of challenges, in that unknown, in that uncertainty. So yeah, here we are again and feeling prepared.
Yeah, it's like, gosh, every time you talk, I have like 8 roads I want to go down. So, like, whenever you're goal setting, if you don't have the right why, like it just is never going to come, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that's what we were kind of getting at last November, is you just had to find your why for this season, and it sounds like you have.
Yeah, it's funny. Yesterday I posted a story of just going and doing a zone 2 session, and I posted my playlist that I listened to. And if I go back to last year and I look at playlists that were like, okay, this is what gets me fired up. This is what is motivating for me right now. This is what kind of gets me going. The music is a complete 180 from what I'm listening to currently. And it's like, you just go through different phases, right? You get into different likes and dislikes, and finding what works and finding what doesn't work. And that's kind of never ending, right? That's just evolving as a human. So it's kind of, just a small little example there. But yeah, you learn a lot from last year. You take those wins and you build off them, and you take the losses and you use them as lessons learned. So it's just another year of doing that.
So last year, one of my team members interviewed you after one of the events in Orlando, mm-hmm. and you had kind of revealed in that moment that you were dealing with a back injury, mm-hmm. and that you were just you were just proud that you were where you had a shot, right?
Yeah.
With everything that you're going through. You go to the games and it's your best finish ever. Right? Yep. 18.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And then, so that's why I was caught off guard in November when you were like, I need to take a step back and just decide, because you have gotten better year over year over year every time you go to the games.
Yeah.
So, health in the back is good now.
Yeah, it took a lot of time. It took a lot of trial and error figuring out what is working and what isn't working as far as just mechanics with movement. I've had to kind of rewire my entire squat mechanics. I ended up injuring myself pulling a bar from the floor, but what we've really come to find out is that my squatting seems to be the culprit. I tend to be very posterior chain dominant with my squats, not using a ton of quads, things like that. So needing to sit more upright in the squat, not letting my shoulders, and my butt be so far away from each other, just so my low back wasn't taking so much of a load from the weight. And that's been a very slow process. But every day I go in, I make sure to really warm up my hips, my back. I sit in the bottom of a squat daily for 5 minutes or more every day. And it's really, really made a huge difference. I get some physical therapy done at least once a week. So I really have just been staying on top of it. And what a difference mentally it makes when you can prep for semifinals the way you're supposed to. Being able to hit the training pieces as they're written, being able to hit the volume at the right time, and being able to do it feeling healthy. Just mentally, it made me realize how much of a dark place I was in last year, having to, find these, having to figure out how to train without hurting myself more. And, just mentally and physically, it was exhausting. So that's why after Rogue, it was like I really just needed to take time to figure out if I can get healthy or if this was going to be another year of battling this mysterious back issue that I can't quite seem to figure out yet or haven't found the solutions to yet. So fortunately, we've been really able to, figure it out, and it's been really awesome. It's been a lot of fun getting to train with a healthy body and just the right mindset. So it's been a really good prep.
I mean, I've talked to you several times. It just feels like there's a weight off your shoulders this season.
Yeah, 100%.
You just seem different right now.
Yeah. I think a lot with my, my personal life. I've had to make some changes. I've had to make some big changes. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Just trying to approach everything in a way that doesn't set me back even more. Just continuing to, I have a note with my goals and, what are my purposes? What is my purpose of training and competing this year? I have a note and I read that pretty much every day. And it just helps me get aligned with, okay, what do I need to do today to give my best, bring my best self to the day. Some days are way better than others, and I still have days that I struggle. But yeah, there's been a lot personal life wise that I have been trying to grow through, and just be a better person. So whether that's in and or out of the gym, my back injury, I think, has really coming out of that. I think I can just see things a lot more clearly. I'm a lot more self-aware with how I approach training, how I approach people at the gym. So yeah, it's been, I'd say, a good 6-7 months of growth. And Yeah. So, yeah.
Why? And I'm not trying to dive into your personal life, and I really am not. But I've had 12 back procedures, so I understand back pain.
Yeah.
Like it is debilitating. It is depressing. Like it
Very.
puts you in a very bad mindset, and it is tough to get out. And
Yeah.
you are not a good. It's hard to be a good person when you have back pain.
It is. And it's, sometimes it just takes something to kind of snap you out of it, So that's kind of where I was at. I made a lot of changes with training. I now have a great training partner, and we train together nearly pretty much every day. So I've had to make some big changes. I get up at 6 a.m. We're in there for a good 3 hours together. Her name is Makenna Enslin. She'll be training. She'll be at Semifinals this year as well. So this will be her second year. But we go to the same gym, and she's a coach there. I'm a coach there. We've become great friends. She follows Misfit Athletics. So we have, I'd say, something that's pretty special that not a lot of people have as far as training partners and, friends. So grateful to have her. And she's a full-time physical therapist. So she's in for work at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. So our time to train is in the morning. And a big change for me was getting up to go train with her at 6 a.m. And last year I struggled to want to get out of bed at 7. Now I'm getting up at 5 consistently. So that was a huge change. And it's been incredible. There's been no downside to it at all,
That's awesome for you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Misfits, and one thing is, that's a group that's been very loyal to you and you to them. And when I was at the games last year, I sat with Draw Your Dagger and those guys, and they love you. They're
awesome.
What is that relationship with like, and how much support do they give you through the season?
Yeah. So I've been with Misfit since 2018, and I remember applying for the remote coaching application, and I put on there that I wanted to make the games. And I had just signed up right before regional. So it was right in for regional prep. It was right after the Open. And it was, at that time, it was a long shot. And I was signed up with Gabe, and Gabe was kind of just getting out of the full-time Misfit Athletics. He just started a full-time job in cancer research. He has 2 kids. He has a family at home. So I think, there's a lot of adjustments there for him as well when I first signed up. And he works with our masters athletes. So I was his only individual at the time. And crazy enough, that year I qualified, and just every year since, it's been getting to know each other a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And I've developed a really great relationship with Gabe, my coach, and with Drew and Sherb and Jen and Ted. And, they're this small little family. And believe it or not, a few of them have known each other since high school. So they're in and of themselves are a very small core group of friends who've been doing this for a long time. So you just kind of you just either fit in or you don't. You just get along with them or you don't. Or, that's kind of how I think it is for any training camp. It's you got to find your fit. And I was lucky enough that the first one was my fit. So now Gabe is I can go to him about anything. I talk to him about more of personal life things and things outside of CrossFit than I do with CrossFit, because, a lot of the outside stuff has such an impact on what we do in the gym. And he was so helpful when it came to making a lot of these bigger transitions this past year. So, my relationship with them has been awesome. I feel just as close with them as I do with our gym, my owners here. They're also just great friends. And I would, again, not many people can say that. I also coach for Misfit Athletics. I'm a remote coach. So, they're more than just a training company to me. They're people that, hopefully I can stick around with for a little while longer, even when I'm done competing.
Well, a lot of people put out shirts this time of year to get support for semis, and you have one of the coolest.
Thanks.
So
I think Drew came up with the logo. But yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'd say maybe I'm just throwing it out there, a little nod to Taylor Swift, since I think like 4 of 6 of our athletes are Taylor Swift fans. I don't know.
So,
but yeah.
So the design is so cool with the snake. I mean, the snakes are the one thing I am deathly afraid of. It is really cool.
Yeah, I don't love them. I definitely don't love them either. But I think it speaks to exactly what we're trying to get across here. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. It was a decision between white font or black, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to go with. I know the white will stick out way more. And Drew was like, yeah, white will be more visible. Black says you're there to make a statement. And I was like, okay, black it is.
Yeah.
So
black
we're
is
coming
really
to compete.
Badass.
Yeah, we're coming to compete.
Yeah. Are they still available?
I don't believe so. You could check on the website, but I think it was just pre-sale. So last I heard that ended on the 9th. But I can always post. I can always find out.
Yeah, and they're a collector's item now.
Yeah,
with supply.
It is fun to see, like, year after year there's a different shirt, and it's really cool when you can walk into the gym and almost every day at least one person has a Semenza or an Enslin shirt on. So it's cool that, our gym supports us in that way, and we get to represent both our gym and Misfit Athletics. And it's a special feeling when you walk in and you see people wearing your shirt.
So Wad Zombie says black feels more like a tattoo. Much better.
That's a good point. Make it permanent. Make it stick.
Yeah. So this year the events have been released way early. Does that hurt training when you know what the movements are?
No, I don't think so. It'll be, cool to see some of the nuances figured out with this first weekend. Obviously the run is going to be different for every venue. I feel bad for this, I think it's the Asia region, a bunch of zigzags. That's going to be tough. But it'll be, figure out what the handstand walk is. What are the little things that we need to know ahead of time? I'll definitely be sick of these movements after semifinals. So right now training is it's still a mix and match of everything. It's still variety, but making sure that we hit the stimulus of what these workouts are going to feel like. So
I know that you said before we got on the air that you were out running this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So did you get a chance to see Europe, or were you busy doing your own thing?
No, I didn't watch. We were at the gym this morning. So I only live like 5 minutes away, but I don't typically watch any of the events or regions going until maybe in the evening when I'm just kind of hanging out at home. I don't like to get too caught up in it.
Okay. Yeah, you couldn't see much because they're not live streaming it. So it's just
right.
With like an iPhone up in the stands. So in Europe, you can see the clean and jerks, and you see them run out the door.
Okay.
And you see them come back in the door.
Yeah. I have a feeling that's what it'll be like in Knoxville. Like, this is where we were back in 22. So it is a cool venue. I really love the feel of it. I think it has a lot more of like an intimate feel than Orlando had. But I have a feeling it will take it like outside the venue and around. It won't be easy to see. Yeah,
from being there a couple years, there's no room inside for sure to do that. Like they could even do as Corey put it in the chat, the DMV queue line. That's not possible. But there are like loading docks right out where the finish line is behind that.
Okay.
So you can open up those like big garage doors and you
Yeah.
could go outside there.
Okay. I don't fully remember like what it looked like. You know, we were only in the warm-up area. The warm-up area was pretty small, which is fine. I mean, day 3 will be pretty nice that it's just individuals. So it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah. And your cat has made his appearance.
Yes, she has.
So yeah, I don't know if I learned anything watching because of what you can and can't see.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you know, you can test that workout multiple times, but if your run is a bunch of zigzags, obviously your pacings are going to be different, you know? So you could still get the feel of it. You could still, you know, figure out, you know, where you kind of hit the bottleneck of the workout, but ultimately you kind of have to, it's one of those where you got to wait and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Some women did some touch and goes, some didn't.
Oof.
Um,
Spicy.
some people waited till the last round to do the touch and go.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be like what paid off more than trying to do it earlier.
Yeah.
In the thing. So that's about it.
Yeah.
I've talked with other athletes. This set of workouts are as classic CrossFit as it gets. You can drop them into 2015 and they still work.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an advantage for you?
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I do like the workouts. I don't feel like I feel confident with all of them. I like you look at our region and it's like, okay, our region is really, really fit. So my goal going in is just to finish in every event consistently as high as I can. So I'm not looking for, you know, if I could hit a home run somewhere, I will. But I think with our region, we have so many well-rounded athletes that it's a matter of like how high can you finish consistently to stay in that top 10. So I do fairly well when it comes to consistency. I think that's kind of like my strong suit is I can finish fairly consistent in most events. So that will just be my goal going in to land myself on as high as I can on that leaderboard.
So what blows me away, and I'm trying not to get you to give me the athlete answer, but I'm going to say this. What blows me away is that you are consistent. And last year you were consistent, not 100%. So
yeah,
does that give you confidence that now that you are in better health and you have had better training, that you have more confidence going into this season?
Yeah. I think last year I was still confident. I had a really big hiccup on event 2 with the ring muscle ups and the go ruck. If I didn't have that hiccup, I was pretty solidified in the top 10. But yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to see how this year plays out, knowing that I've been able to hit training as well as I have. I feel healthy. I feel strong. I feel confident. I love that we're moving moderately heavy barbells for a lot of reps at a time. You're adding in running to that. You're adding in a ton of rope climbs, some box jump overs. Like I do love the combinations that we have here. And I've been hitting a lot of things that are considered weaknesses for me. Some of them are perceived weaknesses. Some of them are just weaknesses in general. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out this year. Again, I know it is a super fit region and it's really hard to say like, yeah, I'm shooting for top 5 or I'm shooting for top 10. Like I'm shooting to qualify and I have confidence that I can do that. So it's exciting. I am excited for this year. I also, wasn't putting a ton of pressure on this year, just based on how the first half had started. So sorry, just making sure that wasn't on. I kind of had a lot of uncertainty with how the year was going to play out. But with how it has played out, I'm ready. I'm ready to get going.
I think what's interesting about the season is last year you had 60 people in your semifinal. So like if you hit a home run, you could have a bad event and it didn't hurt you as bad.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Sydney Wells, right? Like she wins an event, she loses an event, but it kind of all went out in the wash because a lot of people fell down the leaderboard. Now you only have 40. So consistency becomes more important.
Yep.
And every workout is so well-rounded. Like there are no monostructural only type things. So like it is going to favor a consistent athlete like you, I think.
Yeah. So, yep. And it's just making sure that, you know, I stay in it mentally. I'm fueling properly. I'm not an amateur when it comes to eating and fueling for these weekends. I know they catch up to you. And I think a lot of us that have experience kind of at the games level or, you know, multi-year semis level, you know, having 3 events on the final day is I think that's going to change the leaderboard up quite a bit. Some people just don't understand the stress and what stress does to you and how it can impact your performance. So, I think that coming in with experience helps.
I'll echo that with a quote from Saxon Panchek. He said, Sunday they're all execution events. And with the pressure of it being Sunday and 3 events, it is going to be the veterans that should handle that better.
Yeah. So, not my first rodeo. I tend to do better in competition than I do in training. I can just kind of level up a little bit, which, is obviously an advantage. So I'll be trying to do that and just bring my best self.
Do you get that from being an athlete your whole life?
I think so. Yeah. Playing Division I sport, playing ice hockey, you have your high pressure situations. So, it's experience. Obviously hockey is a little bit different. You're out there with a team of people. CrossFit here, you're out there on the floor by yourself. If something goes wrong, it's on you. You got to correct it. You got to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, we've had some high level games back in college that, there's a lot of pressure on it. There's a lot on the line. It's either you block the shot or, your season's ending. So, yeah, I definitely think that sport and the experience from, my past with college and high school comes into play.
Your alma mater's had a lot of high pressure games lately.
Hey, they're doing all right.
They are.
It's so fun. It's so fun to see them winning. We didn't win back when I was there.
Yeah. So this will be your first year with a training partner on the floor with you. And back with you.
Yeah, man, we tried really hard to get us both obviously I wanted to be in the top 10. I wanted to be in that final heat to start the weekend off. But next best thing would be we're both in 11 through 20. So we can be on the floor for the first event together, but it didn't quite work out that way, which is fine, so either way, it'll be exciting. I think now, last year, Makenna was also following Misfit Athletics, and with my back injury, I really, really kind of backed off of being around anybody. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to approach training. I didn't know how to approach being around other people when it came to training. It was just a lot. And obviously, if I could go back, I would try to change some of those things. Because I feel not that I let anybody down, but Makenna is still a really good friend of mine and I want to see her succeed as well. So this year, I really, made a promise to myself that I wouldn't kind of go off into the dark side by myself. I wanted to be able to be here, be present, be there for Makenna. I want to be able to just kind of be an example for her, but I also want to be a great training partner, and she's a great training partner for me. So it's like there's so much benefit to, sticking it out. And I think this year, like I've seen so much growth in her just through the season of training. And it's fun to watch because obviously a lot of the things that she's going through, even just as her second year, are things that I've gone through, just through the years of training. And sometimes I smirk because I know that she's got to figure these things out on her own and work through them. And I smirk because I've had to do that too. And it's cool to see, a young athlete like her just have no excuses. Like, she sucks at something, guess what? She's going to do it anyway. And she's going to work on it. She is going to get frustrated and she's going to figure it out afterwards. And in those moments, I just like to be a support. I feel, I don't feel like I'm obligated to do that, but like I want to be there. It gives me purpose. And as an athlete, she has so much potential. So it's like, why would I not want to see her succeed? Because like, it's not often you can find two athletes from the same gym. Number one, from the same gym just in general, but two athletes that get along so well that can really succeed in the sport. So, yeah.
Yeah. So my next question is, with someone like that in the back and in the warm-up area and all that stuff, will it help relax you and make you a better athlete on the floor?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it could say the same for her. Like, we really, like, I practice what I preach. If I tell my athletes, my remote athletes, like, hey, you should be warming up on a machine for 15 minutes. Guess what? I'm warming up on a machine every single day for 15 minutes. And none of that kind of stuff changes when we get to semifinals. Like all of those small daily habits all come into play when you get there. So it's like the warming up part of it is, this is another day. This is another training session. The upside to semifinals is it's either 1, 2, or 3 events a day. So on the 1 and the 2, it's like, these are very light volume days for us. Like warming up for 1 or 2 events a day is nothing. At the games, you're sometimes warming up for 4 events. And it's like, okay, well, 12 to 15 minutes 4 times in a day, like you're adding a lot of volume to your day. But that's why we do it here. And it keeps us healthy. There's, we don't have these nagging injuries going on. So yeah, it's, practice what you preach and you take your daily habits to game day, because those are what made you fit in the first place.
So I'm going to finish up with this, and that is, in the West, they're going to be in Carson, in this iconic venue that is, famous in CrossFit. But you're going back to someplace you've qualified there before.
Yeah.
Do you think it's better that you can be comfortable where you're going, or is it better to be someplace cool and iconic?
I think it depends who you are as an athlete. I think at this point, there are a lot of athletes who have traveled to compete, whether it was the year of sanctionals and you're traveling to Brazil or France or Italy, like wherever it was, like you've pretty much gotten yourself outside of your comfort zone at least a couple of times. So I think as an experienced athlete, that shouldn't have much of a factor, like, going somewhere new. I do love that we're going back to Syndicate. I thought the venue was great. I thought the organization did a really good job. I'm staying in the same exact Airbnb I stayed in 2 years ago, which will be nice. So yeah, I did try to, not that I'm being superstitious about it, but if there could be a level of comfort in there, you definitely want to have that.
Yeah, I love the venue at Syndicate. I love the way the stands are elevated.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives it a cool look and feel, and it's intimate. It feels very intimate in there.
Yep. That's what I like about it too. So I'm excited to go back.
Well, this is awesome. You're one of my favorite athletes. Why Zombie? says, my kid just started playing ice hockey.
Yeah. Good for you. It's going to be a lot of travel for you. I like it. Hopefully he has fun.
We will be rooting for you hard at Syndicate.
Thanks.
Good luck in everything. And I hope you have a great and rewarding season.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you to everybody in the chat. Again, this is Clydesdale Media Podcast. We're featuring the athletes of the 2024 CrossFit Games semifinals, and we'll see everybody next time. Thank you so much.